Now this week, obviously, the concentrated guidance has been around the concept of cursing. And I think young Andrew has quite eloquently explained that curses is a word. It doesn't have to be negative, and it certainly shouldn't be frightening to anyone. It's just energy. We always talk about everything is frequency and everything is energy. So a curse is a form of energy, a stream of energy that comes into your field, and we as guides can identify the frequency of that stream, and therefore we can reflect it back to the perpetrator, the person that is consciously sending. Now, of course, many people inadvertently send or curse each other because they feel angst, annoyance, emotional defiance towards someone else. And the more negative you become in your thought process, and the more emotion that you connect to your thoughts, the more powerful the stream of energy. So you can see that people that are in a very, very chaotic, negative, angry state will be vibrating at a very low frequency themselves. And of course then the people that they think about, they send energy to. And this is what makes them dangerous. And we know if you spend time in a room with people that are very angry, upset and emotional, you can feel the frequency. You can feel the stagnant, stale, negative energy. It doesn't feel particularly supportive. And generally people that are sensitives, which most of you will be, because of course you're spiritual, you'll feel the energy, and therefore you want to refrain and retract yourself from the space. So if you walk into a room, people are arguing or have had arguments, you can feel the low frequency. And of course we know that low frequency of vibration attracts negativity, because everything is magnetized in a frequency way. So people that are vibrating at high frequency, they're positive. People that are moving forward with their career, with their life, with their family, they have a positive outlook, they're in control of their thought process, will attract other people like them into their space. And we know this. If you walk into a room, you know who you're attracted to, not from a physical perspective, but you energetically know who is like you. And also, of course, you very quickly elect to understand who is not like you, the people that you still steer clear of. People that are loud, abusive, angry, negative, showing their emotional state are people that we steer clear of generally, because we know if people like that are in our life, so it could be family members, work colleagues, acquaintances, then they pull our energy down. So we need to sidestep people that are negative. And everyone will have people in your circle, in your family, in your friendship group, in your peer group, in your working structures that are negative. And of course what we advise is basically to spend the least amount of time in the presence of negative people as you can, because they will affect your field. Now of course if these members are members of your family and people you have to be in space with, then you protect yourself. You walk into a room with people that are negative, and again you can try to bring the energy down. So rather than allowing yourself to be affected or afflicted of course by their energy, you can visualize sending them positivity, radiating your light, raising your frequency. Everything is frequency based. And the way that we see things is we can follow you around the planet from your vibration. So if you were to walk across an area of land or fly across a country to country as a spiritual team, we can lock onto your frequency and we can follow that stream of energy. And this of course is what young Andrew was explaining earlier when he was talking about the work that we used to do with Dr. Palmer. When we would look for a curse, we would find the frequency of energy, and of course we could track it back to the person that was sending it, and then we know who that person is, whether it's a family member or someone else. And of course from a spiritual perspective, the guides, we would be able to tell whether this was a conscious act of sending negativity to someone, cursing them, or whether this was an unconscious act. It may just be that there's family angst, family negativity, and a particular person in a family is feeling very negative about their life, their experiences, choices they've made, maybe the fact they're not doing particularly well compared to other members of the family or siblings. So of course they're in that negative mindset, and this negative mindset then, when extrapolated into energy and frequency, means they would be sending their negativity to their brother, their sister, their sibling. So it's a very simple concept. So if you think about energy and curses primarily, everyone effectively is cursing everyone continually. It's just that most people don't understand this concept of energy being frequency that's being sent through your emotional state and your thought process. And this, of course, is why it's so important on this spiritual journey to learn to firstly protect yourself from everyone else, and then you uphold your own spiritual sovereignty, which is a life-changing process for you, because you will find yourself with mental clarity, calmness, and power, because you become a powerful person. You're not affected by other people's thoughts, other people's conversations, other people's intentions. When you hold spiritual sovereignty, you literally change frequency. And we, from a spiritual perspective, your guides can see your frequency lift. And it's very, very clear that that spiritual development process is in effect. So when you actually understand what's happening, you can choose to be a completely different person that is not affected by reaction of other people, because you hold your spiritual sovereignty. And then once we get to a point that you maintain spiritual sovereignty, now you become a master. Now you start to project your energy into other people. You walk into a room that's negative, angry, stagnant, and you basically broadcast your positive, high vibrating frequency of clarity, and you clear that room with your own thought process, your own mind, because we know that energy is thought. Thoughts carry energy. So as you master maintaining your boundaries and protecting yourself, the next step obviously is to change the frequency of the people around you. When you walk into meetings, you clear the room before the meeting. This changes the frequency. When you sit in meetings with work colleagues, you can very quickly ask your guides to clear your work colleagues, the people in the meeting, and see how the narrative changes. Imagine top politicians that are sovereign, working from a spiritual perspective that's positive, making decisions and choices for the benefit of society and cultural societies. Everything would change quickly. At the moment, we have people making decisions based upon their own personal choices, their own personal situations, and of course corruption prevails. But if we can get to a point that people like yourselves hold your spiritual sovereignty and then change the frequency of people around you, everything changes. And this becomes a domino effect very, very quickly. So what we're saying here in this particular course or this particular week is that cursing is a word. It means nothing, effectively. We're just talking about a vibratory frequency, a stream of energy. And when you understand it as a stream, it's so not powerful. It has no power over you. You control your frequency, your energy. You're not frightened. Fear is removed. You say, yes, someone's cursed me. Lovely. Let them continue. It will have no effect. And when you can hold that stance, suddenly the power that was there before that created fear has been cleared and removed. And now you just basically visualize that stream of energy finding its way back to them, and everything stops. So through that method, you negate war. War could be negated, as could any type of negative disease between people. So it's a very benign method that is non-confrontational, but changes everything so quickly. And this, of course, is the challenge for you all to try. So those of you that are worried about being cursed or having been cursed can just think to your guides, could you provide me with an intervention? and reflect any negativity coming into my field back to the perpetrator. And that immediately gives your guides the green light to look at your field, to find anything negative that's coming into your field and send it back from whence it came. And you will find that this changes your mindset, brings you into clarity of thought, and you find peace and calmness come into your life, because we're blocking and reflecting these negative frequencies that change how we feel. They change our emotional state. They make us irritable and angry. And this changes family life, of course, because suddenly the home becomes a very quiet, positive place, rather than a place of angst, negativity and irritation. So this is my challenge to you all this week, is to start to hold your sovereignty, to project your energy to people around you. When you find yourself in emotional or difficult situations, don't let yourself be affected, but you change them. So you broadcast your frequency. You put the thought out to your guides to intervene, provide an intervention on my behalf. Use my energy to clear this space, and let's watch how everything immediately changes. Like a dam of water that suddenly opens and energy starts to flow, and we cascade positivity.